Hello. Good evening. Good morning. Good afternoon. YouTube. Nice to see you. Nice. Yeah, good to see you. I just am going to get my keyboard. Yeah. There we go. I have a keyboard and I won't wobble every time I touch something on the screen. Yeah, I hope you can all hear me. I know there's been problems with the audio before, but I think it's all working, which is fantastic. Fantastisch. Yeah, nice. Okay, so los geht's. Let's begin. So first of all, I like to begin with meditation. I know we have this talk every week, but if you've never listened to it before, then you don't know that I always give this talk about meditation, so we shall start at the beginning. So even though I always say that I meditate, I don't really think of it or look at it as meditating. It's just something that I do, and I don't really think of it as a formal meditation. I now, though, recommend it and call it meditation because I realize that sometimes I'm so extreme about things that you have to take baby steps to things. And prior to me getting into non-duality, I meditated for many years and did lots of practice and helped settle down my personality. Yeah. And I really see meditation as a way of settling down the personality. I don't see it as a way of you getting to enlightenment, because who would get to enlightenment? Like, who is this you that's going to arrive in a future destination to get to enlightenment? Like, the only thing there is what's happening right now, which is right here, which is free. Yeah. So meditating is really about settling down the body-mind. So the body-mind has habits and conditions in it, and it's not that body-mind that becomes enlightened. It's that inside the body-mind there has been this energy that's made it feel like your essence is limited to the body. And that's not true. And what comes forward in non-duality is that which has been hiding. But it's not because of your habits and conditions. However, if your habits and conditions are really chaotic and really difficult, then it's most probably going to be harder to hear non-duality. So if you imagine me going into a hospital where people are deeply suffering and I start speaking about non-duality, it's like there's too much for them to cope with, let alone this like crazy idea of the nature of everything. So it's like becoming more settled, like your life, your external life becoming more settled, your internal life becoming more settled, and then letting non-duality flower. Okay, so the different meditations that I recommend are the mindfulness of breathing. And basically, the mindfulness of breathing is counting the breath. So every time you breathe in, you count. So you breathe in, you count, and you count all the way up to number 10. And when you get to number 10, you simply start again. And it's not about how many times you can do that or doing it correctly or not going past number 10. It's simply about putting your attention in what's happening again and again and again. And every time you do that, it's a celebration. It's not a way to beat yourself up of what you've done wrong. That's like counterintuitive and gives you bad conditioning. So it's like, yeah, baby, even if you get to 946, you're like, celebration, I did it. It's fantastic. Yeah. So all you need to do is count to 10 and start again, and that's it. And celebrate every time you manage to do it. Start again, even if you're at 100. The next one is the I am. So the I am, or empty looking. So you keep moving your attention back to I am, or empty looking. So the I am, you could say, is like this feeling of being alive, and the empty looking is that emptiness that's looking out. So this feeling of being that's always been there since you were born, and this empty looking that's always been there. So that's that practice. And then the third practice is just sitting there and doing whatever you feel like doing. So just sitting there and do exactly what you feel like doing. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever comes up. It's like a fizzy can of pop. You shake it and you shake it and it's all fizzy, and all you have to do is just sit there and wait for the bubbles to settle. And that's exactly what the personality can be like. It's like all shaken up. These chemicals and adrenaline and excitement, like boom, 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 boom. And then all you have to do is let it settle down like beautiful snowdrops reflecting unicorn rainbows. Yes. Okay, we shall begin. Let me get my big gong. So when I ring my big gong, we begin. It's the sacred bell, which brings you deep into the meditative state if you really listen to the vibration right to the end. So one moment, I'm just going to dong my big gong. Are you ready? And Okay, let's begin. We're beginning. Okay, so before I begin the talk, we have some advertisements. Ding! The first advertisement is for my retreat in the south of France from the 21st, I think, to the 28th of May. And yeah, it's not really a retreat actually, it's a conference. It's in a very cute little town in the south of France. You can walk everywhere, and there is a big studio that we're renting, and then people can book their own accommodation and come. There's lots of cafes and restaurants and nature and beauty and river and supermarkets, all within walking distance. But it's not like really busy with lots of cars, the little town. It's like a medieval town. You can't drive through it. Or you just about drive through it, but not many cars do because it's like so skinny. Yeah, so there are still places available on this, and there is also a house that is available. So the house, I think, is roughly €60 a night, but if it's shared by 3 people, then that's obviously a lot less than €60 because you divide the house. There's 3 bedrooms in the house, so you divide that, and I'm not sure what that is, but that's like really cheap for the south of France. It's on my website. You can find out the information. You can email Amelia and she'll connect you with the other people that want to share it. So far we have 1 other person that wants to share it. So even if 2 people share it, that's still super cheap for Europe. Yeah, in the south of France in the summertime. Yeah. So get in contact. You can find Amelia's contact details, who's the organizer for the event, on the event. So you'll go in there and you read and you'll see her contact details. Yeah. So that is the advertisement. And the next advertisement is nothing. That's the only advertisement. Just that. The advertisement is nothing. Okay, so we can begin the talk. So what is the title of the talk? It was a nice title today. Is our beingness experiencing through all bodies? Lisa Cairns, Non-duality. Is our beingness experiencing through all bodies? Okay. So we first of all need to decipher what our beingness is, like what is meant by that. So that's pretty cool, that notion, because if it's true, it means that everybody that you look at and looks into your eyes is the same essence. That's really beautiful. That's so profound on so many levels. So next time you're on the subway and somebody's like picking their nose and rubbing it on the seat, and you're disgusted and appalled, what a terrible human being they are, how dare they do that, somebody's going to get bogey on them. Like when you catch eye contact with them with your unhappy face, it's the same essence looking at you. So even though you've got anger, and then maybe they've got anger if you confront them, so the body is both angry, that which is experiencing beyond the anger is absolutely in love with itself and contented with itself. It has no judgment of the bogey, it has no judgment of the anger, it has no judgment of the loudness of the subway, of the smells on the subway. It's just experiencing itself. And it's love, absolute contentment. So both these bodies On the human reaction, there is anger, but deeper than that, there is just pure love looking at pure love. Same with if we imagine a war zone and two people fighting each other. So two people are holding up guns, going to kill each other, and they're really hating each other. So that's on the surface. So you could call that like the surface of the lake, like the ripples on the surface of the lake. But deeper than that, it's like the same energy looking at each other. Love looking at love. Freedom looking at freedom. And that's what you are ultimately. When the anger passes, when the body passes, that's what you are. That's what always remains. So what is it, this like empty looking and this sense of I am that I'm speaking about, that's deeper than the personality structure? That's always there. You could say it's not a thing, while it's simultaneously all things. It's the sense of love and this empty looking. And that's been there the whole time. There always has to be these two qualities in order for experiencing to happen. There doesn't have to be anger, there doesn't have to be joy, there doesn't have to be happiness, there doesn't have to be thoughts. I used to think that thoughts created experience. It just has to be this empty looking and sense of beingness. And you can completely forget yourself, your personality structure, what you want or you don't want, or you need, or your grudges or your loves. Even that comes and goes. But this doesn't come and go. This is ever present. Ever present. It doesn't move. So what moves are the things. So the things are constantly changing in it, like a kaleidoscope. But your essence doesn't move. Never. Ever. Right now, there is perception happening, there is this sense of beingness, but the confusion is the habits and the conditions and the personality structure seem to be merged with that, so you can't separate it out. So it feels like you are looking, you are happy, you are experiencing, and that you contains the looking and contains the I am, and you can't separate them out and see that the character, everything you believed yourself to be, is something which is coming and going and coming and going and evolving and changing. It's not you. That was unfortunate. Excuse me. Happens to the best of us. Yeah. Maybe we could like make an analogy like the computer screen. So you got this computer screen, and the computer screen always has to be there in order to look into the computer screen and see all the things inside the computer. Like if your computer screen wasn't there, you'd be like, Like without the computer screen, you can't do anything. You can't type someone an email. It's like, maybe the email is, I can't see anything. Like the computer screen always has to be there. And then all the apps and all the pictures and the videos and the YouTube and everything is inside and coming and going. So the YouTube isn't the screen. The pictures aren't the screen. The folders aren't the screen. The emails aren't the screen. But yet they're contained in the screen. The screen is creating them. But that is not the screen. And that's exactly like, well, not exactly, but almost like, good metaphor. I just made it up all by myself. Thank you. Makes up for my little boo-boo earlier. But the computer screen is always there, and you could say that's like the watching and this sense of being. They're like the fundamentals in which everything is played. There has to be consciousness. How could you not be conscious? It's like, how could we not have a screen? Like, you're like, I'm just going to send an email, but the same here. If there isn't consciousness, there's nothing. The mind is like, actually, if there wasn't consciousness, I still think there would be something. Really now? Do you now? Have you really thought about that? Yes. Yes, I have. And if there was no consciousness, nothing was conscious at all, I still think there would be things. Right. But who would be conscious of it? If nobody was conscious of it, there would be no things. They would just exist and nothing would be conscious of it. Yes, that is how it would be. That is how it would be. They would exist, but nothing would be conscious of it. So you could say that there was nothing existing because there was nothing to be conscious of it. Can things exist if there is nothing that looks at it? Oh, yes, they can. Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. Things exist when I do not look at them. Do they? Have you ever had any proof of that? Yes, I have. I've recorded little videos before and I can see that when I leave the room still exists. But that video is appearing in your consciousness. If there wasn't consciousness, would it exist? The mind can go in loops forever. What is your experience? What is your experience? Right now, things only exist when there is consciousness on them. That is the experience. That is even what quantum physics is suggesting. So even scientists who don't care at all about proving this subject right, and most probably thinks it woo-woo if they learnt about it, or maybe not, but those will be totally not interested. But these scientists are beginning to, or have really said this, that things exist in every possibility until they're looked at, which you could equally say is no possibility. If it's every possibility, it's also no possibility. I don't think that works, Lisa. It's either every or nothing. It's not both simultaneously, but that's what they're saying, that they're both, everything simultaneously is happening. So that also includes no possibility, because that's a possibility. It's just this has been forgotten about because there's been so much focus on the story of you, me, you, me, you, me, you. The story of you, me. The story of subject, object. There has been so much focus on that singularity, the possibility even of singularity, has totally been forgotten because everything in thinking is in opposites. Night, day, good, bad, right, wrong, me, you. It always is in comparison to an other object. We know the sofa because it's not the floor. So it's always in two. Dual. It is dual. So non-dual is your essence, is what's experiencing now. That is just so miraculous. Can you hear me? That is so miraculous what is experiencing now. That is freedom, total and utter freedom. It's love and an emptiness, an empty experiencing. That is always here. You never not have consciousness. And it's the same consciousness looking from every angle. It's not even really that it's looking through these bodies. It's just seemingly looking through these bodies. It's actually that the consciousness is in all things. So the consciousness, and that's your actual experience as well. The consciousness is in the computer, it's in the laptop tray, it's in the legs, it's in the sofa, it's in the projector, it's in the peacock behind me, the round peacock, blues, it's in the colours. And that is your experience. It's not, your experience isn't that there's a consciousness here looking at all things. How would that manifest? Your experience is there is consciousness, and consciousness cannot be found, but yet there is all things, and there is consciousness in all those things. Like there is a knowing of them. There is a knowing of the laptop. There is a knowing of the light. There is a knowing of the legs. So when two bodies look at each other, it's not even like consciousness is coming from here and consciousness is coming from here. It's just seemingly. It's actually that the consciousness is in everything, every goddamn thing that's appearing equally. But just seemingly, these bodies are having the experience as if consciousness looking out of them. So when you look into somebody else's eyes, it's that same oneness, it's the same beingness. We are sisters and brothers. We are siblings of that oneness. Yes, we are. And this isn't theoretical, it sounds theoretical, it's just coming back to your own experience. Where are you? Who are you? Get past all this bullshit labeling. I'm this, I'm that, I'm words, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm better, I'm worse, I'm richer, I'm poorer. I have a bigger bike than my neighbour. I have a more eco-efficient car than my family. Every label, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. Knock them aside with a bat. Boom, 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 boom. Every label. What is beyond every label and meaning? And that which you are has no meaning, it has no purpose, it has no words, it has no goal. And that's not something you need to embody as a human. It's noticing that which is inherently free, which contains no words. Where is that? It is what you are. It is what's ever present. It is this moment. It is this. Things are moving in this. Everywhere you run to, everywhere you go to, you'll have this. It is a freedom. And it's this empty looking and this I am. And it's like being called forward. It's hiding amongst this whole bullshit of words and like ideas and projections and judgments. It's hiding behind this like mass and fog of you. And then it's being called forward. What is beyond you? Who? And then you begin to remember that your neighbour is you, truly you. Your dog is truly you. I am truly you. And that's all you've ever wanted. So deep peace is just to know who you are. Who you are is not a behaviour, not a word, not a sound, not a thought. It is present. It's oneness. That is God. How? How? Okay. So we can move to questions now. If you have anything that's clear or not clear. Hey Thomas. Hey Nick. Hey Isabel. Hey Jackie. Hi Lisa, nice to see you. I was wondering, I hope this is not too personal, as it's been so long since you did a retreat or other paid teaching services. Do you have another form of income? Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, maybe that's a bit too personal, Jackie. Thanks for the question. I do some paid things. I do some sessions a week, but not many. But thanks for the question, and there's nothing wrong with asking, but I just have to say when it's too personal. Okay, no problem, Lisa, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Jackie. Okay, you could say that I have another form of income, but I just don't want to talk about it. I see somebody else asking on YouTube. Yeah, privacy. What's she up to then? She's a bank robber. That's what she is. She's been at that Bitcoin. She's doing illegal trading with the Bitcoin. That's what it is, it's the Bitcoin. Nasty, dirty stuff. Yeah, so there's no questions. I'm not just sitting here blanking out because of meditative reasons. There's no questions. The only question I had is about my income. My income. Yeah, there's still no questions. So if you want to ask a question, you can do through Skype. You find that out. You find out my Skype address, or you can find my Skype address in the box below. It's Lise Cairns 12, but it's just written there if you still wonder. Okay, I'll read some from YouTube. Hi Lisa, I wanted to say thank you for putting up these live streams and offering your insight. I just came over you recently and just brings so much joy and connection to what's beyond. Oh, nice, Karen. Yeah, pleasure. Satoshis, to be fair. Questions seldom come up. It all seems so clear and wondrous, this remembrance together. Do you think meditators increase peace in the world? I do feel like we telepathically as humans communicate, like we're telepathically and energetically communicating. And so I think we're like a beehive and like an ant hive. You know how that they have this, and like birds in a flock, they have this ability to communicate to each other without using words. You know, like it's amazing when you watch the birds and then suddenly one moves and they all move. So I do think that the collective energy of people have an effect. Like it totally doesn't surprise me that we had the C word. I'm not sure if I'm still banned from saying that on YouTube. The C word that happened the last 2 years. So the C word happened, and it doesn't surprise me at all that a war then happened, because I think that a lot of suffering happened in the C word. Not necessarily because of people catching the C and being ill from it, although I think that was a big suffering. That's, it must have been horrendous for people losing loved ones in such a horrible way. But I think predominantly from like mass lockdown and the frustration it caused. Some people did enjoy it, but I did think it caused a lot of frustration and suffering, particularly for people that have kids, and mental health issues and depression. And I do think, and anger and frustration. And then I think that runs through our society. Like if you get a group of people, it like spreads. And then it doesn't surprise me that then what pops out from that is a war. I'm not taking the responsibility off Putin. We can also point our fingers at him and say he's a bad boy. He's a very bad boy. But pun. I can't say his name, I think that's a dyslexic thing. I just can't say it without an N. Could be an English thing as well. We always love to pronounce names wrong. But yeah, I think it's like a collective, so it goes through. So does meditation bring peace in the world? I don't know if meditation necessarily brings peace in the world, but I think somebody being more centered and free and knowing who they truly are and connecting to that more regularly most probably decreases the suffering on that person and has an effect to the outside. That is my opinion, but I could be wrong. I always could be wrong. So please bear that in mind, that anything I say could be wrong except the ultimate truth of the absolute, because that's not within wrong and right, and that is a absolute truth. Anything else that's in words, it could be wrong, could be right. It's like a spectrum, because words, we all made it up, and we're trying to negotiate where they are, and they're evolving, they don't stay still. They're like, oh, they go off that way and then that way, and you can't keep them all in the same bucket. So one moment you could be right and then you're wrong the next day because other words have formed and other sentences, and then it just doesn't make sense what you said anymore. I can't say it. Puntin. Puntin. A puntin. I can't say his name. Ida, thank you for writing it, but it just doesn't help. There's like a misfunction in my brain. Maybe political divisions since 2016 caused COVID then. Could be. Batman. Like the name. Why not, if you're going to pick a pseudonym. Why not go for one of the top ones? Batman, a superhero. Yeah, it could be, because there has been like lots of strife since 2016 politically in the West. We had somebody that rhymes with thump in politics, and then in England we had Brexit. And we had that problem in Spain as well, with their trying to have independence. There was like a lot of strife there. There was strife in Italy. And then in Poland, I think. I forget all the different things. Put out. Put out. Put out. Pout. Tin. Putin. Putin. Okay, that did it, Andy. Putin. I think I said it right? Putin. He's a poo in a tin. He's a poo in a tin. That's it. Very good, thank you. I will remember that now, Andy. You spoke to the dyslexic in me. Just Putin. Don't neglect the fact of pushing NATO expansion to the Russian border as one other cause of the conflict. Bang or joy. Yes, the West must take responsibility too. It's not just poo in a tin. The West is a bad boy. Not a bad girl, just a bad boy. Okay. Hi Annette, thank you for your question. If you have therapy, how do you think about it while you have it? It seems incombustible with non-duality. When I have it, I get so deep into the person. Am I not reinforcing it, or is it helpful to fully indulge during the sessions? Incompatible, not incombustible, although that does work. Thanks, Annette. I think that it's really good to have a very strong grasp of the personality structure. So understanding that, and that might be like a really uncomfortable hour or 2 sessions a week, whatever you do, really delving into the story. And yeah, that most probably creates lots of suffering. And if you just meditated, you wouldn't experience that level of suffering. But by going into that, you most probably get a better conceptualization of the personality structure. When you don't have a really good conceptualization of the personality structure, it can be working a lot in the unconscious. And there can be a lot of unconscious, like influencing decisions and movements. So it's like once you begin to really see a rounded idea of the personality structure, it can be seen a lot more impersonally, and seen that it's not you, and seeing maybe a deeper flow that's coming through you rather than the old conditioned responses. Yeah, but it is uncomfortable. I get ya. Going into these past pains. Hey Lloyd, hi Lisa, hope you're well today. Can you talk a little bit about deep sleep and how you experience it? That is, if you experience it at all. Happy Sunday. Hey Lloyd, thank you for your question. I totally don't experience deep sleep, and anyone that claims they do, unless there's a misinterpretation. I did have this experience, when I was younger, and I was still in relationship with Mr. Castillo. I had this experience where I woke up and there was nothing, but I don't think of that as deep sleep. I think of that as an experience which is pointing back to what I am beyond all forms. So I woke up and there was just consciousness and nothing else. So to me, in deep sleep, there is no consciousness either, or there is consciousness, but there is nothing to be aware of, so there is no consciousness in a way. In fact, you could say deep sleep doesn't exist. So I had this experience, and it was just amazing. I could have been there for eternity, it didn't matter. And then after I woke up from that, It was never elusive to me anymore of what people spoke about when they were speaking about the empty looking. I knew exactly what that was, without any feeling or emotion, without any name or form or ideas. Yeah, it was very powerful. But you can't really experience deep sleep because there is nothing to experience. So how would experience be happening? There is nothing. Non-existence, which doesn't exist, so it can't ever really happen. Boop, boop. Poo in a tin. Hands. Yes, hands. Yes, yes, yes. Ready. Ready.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Hans.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Cool.
Um, I have a question about if I've noticed a pattern inside of me, and it's and it even got triggered by you.
Okay.
Uh, and and that's about f- I don't want to say what I'm about to say. It's just I'm not saying that um, you did anything wrong
Yeah,
or
yeah,
in my
totally.
belief, but it triggered something, and that was about with the um, oh yeah, with the word Putin. So stupid. But, so what happened? I felt like you were making. So there was this sensation. I'm not talking objectively that I truly believe this, but it's just the feeling that comes up, and that's like
Yeah,
you're almost like you're lying. You're not trying hard enough.
yeah,
Like you're almost like that's like you're making a victim, like becoming a victim out of it, and not even really want to try. And that's something I'm struggling now with my sister. My sister has a concussion, and my sister always had a tendency to fall into the victim side, and I tended to fall to the hyper responsible side. And
mm,
I don't see both as healthy. They were both extremes, and they were both not healthy, and that we clashed, obviously, of course, a lot. And and now I'm having a really hard time because I'm doing some stuff for her because she can't do things,
yeah,
some things. And for me, it's really a constant conflict between finding out, okay, because yeah, where am I being taken advantage of, and when is it on her and when is it on me? Like, because sometimes I feel like she can do this herself. She's just making it. That's the feeling, at least, that I have. She's making it bigger than um, like a particular thing. She's now asking too much. She's asking something that she can at this particular moment can do herself, for example.
mm,
And um, yeah, and it's a constant conflict inside of me, and yeah, it's difficult.
yeah, yeah.
It's difficult because I don't know what's right, and I don't want to deny myself too much, but I also don't want to, I want to take care of her, especially if it's needed.
Mm,
And yeah,
yeah, difficult, eh?
yes, yeah,
Difficult to find that balance.
yeah.
Yeah, just give me a moment. Let me see what comes.
Okay, I just want to add one more thing, and that's also because I've taken I've taken too much from her in my life, and that has really impacted me and confused me. And it's become more clear that I've taken too much. I really even had like bad dreams about her and stuff like that. And so now it's becoming more clear that I've taken too much. But now, so I almost have this feeling like this kind of like a counter movement now.
Mm,
And it's maybe a really inappropriate time now because she actually has a concussion. And yeah,
yeah.
I hope you know what I mean with that. I hope that it's a bit too complicated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's really healthy and relevant to speak about these things. Like I
Mm,
think that to think about it and to put it into context is really healthy, and to bring the subject up and to check in with people and to ask other people that are around you for advice.
mm,
And so then I think to myself, okay, so what is the most helpful thing that I could do for you now? Because
mm.
that is like really complex. Like I can't possibly determine or
Yeah.
help you in that way, because it's such deep embedded feelings that you need to spend ages exploring it, checking in, going back to the subject. It needs to be something that's talked
Mhm,
about regularly to try and work it out, like understanding the way in which your parents raised you and what they
mhm.
taught you to be or do, or what roles you were given in the family. Like there's so many different directions, how it feels in
Yeah.
your body, like what chakras are being activated. So there's
Mhm,
all types of subject, which is just too complex really for us to go into. So then in what way can I serve you the most? And what I could
mm.
do that's the most serving and most beneficial is to tell you and inform you to speak about this with people. I think that this is
Mm.
something that you need to keep bringing up into conversation. So
Yeah.
finding someone that you trust, that you can reflect on, that maybe knows you both, and that can have a
Mm.
balanced view, and keep asking, keep checking in with
Yeah.
yourself. But then, besides that, the most helpful thing I can do is point you back to the stillness that's in you now.
Mm.
Like, do you have a sense of that stillness, of what you are?
I have a sense, and
What does that feel like?
Well, it progressively feels like a vibrating, warm space.
Yeah.
But there's some. I actually, when we did the meditation, I actually teared up a little bit because I really felt like I really had I was kind of almost like standing into the. I felt that what I was didn't take any effort. It was there. Yeah, it's becoming more to the foreground. There's
Mm.
just some parts that are blocking it, and they're
Mm.
constantly being pushed on, and it feels like they're being burned.
Mm.
It's yeah.
And where do you feel like you're experiencing from now? Where do you feel the experiencer is?
Um, I don't. I can feel some contractions that feel like a me, but I don't experience the world really through. That's kind of like I experience the world more and more through like relaxation. So the reference point is being other reference points. I feel like multiple contractions, especially in my stomach and now behind my left neck.
Mm.
Uh, they're contractions, and I like energetically that feels like a me, like me. It feels like it's going to be relaxed more and more.
Mm.
But intellectually, there's not really a reference
Mm.
point. But it still feels that I'm kind of like, yeah, because of this contraction, it still feels like I'm somewhere.
Mm.
It's like half, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the more I relax, the less the world becomes less solid. So when I'm
Yeah.
getting more contracted, also the world starts to feel more contracted.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know, like more
totally.
real.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so right now, that consciousness of what you are, that I mean consciousness is such a limiting word in a way, but it's so hard to find a good word. But so the
Yeah,
consciousness, which is you could say looking through that body, is in my voice, is in the computer, is in the whole room, in the walls, in the sounds. Is in and is everything that's appearing in experience now. And that includes the feelings that you have about your sister and the discomforts and the triggers that you experience if you still have them. And what happens is, so you have a trigger that happens, and then there's a discomfort in the body, and then there is this person that goes in to seek for resolution to it. That doesn't
yeah,
mean like naturally finding a resolution to something. So exploring a trigger point doesn't mean it's seeking. But there is this other energy that seeks to avoid what's being felt.
yeah,
It can't bear feeling this way. And it's not even conscious of that. There's not any part of the body mind that's conscious of this seeking energy. This seeking energy feels like who you are, and in essence, it's like an agitation, like a discomfort with what's happening right now,
yeah.
and the need for distraction. But it's not even conscious of that. That's totally happening unconscious in most human beings.
Mm,
So there is this space of what you are, and then these feelings that are arising. And it's like, it's almost as if you fall out of that space and you fall into a separate person in time.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And it's not really like that. It's just an image that I'm giving, and then you fall into this person, and then you seek for freedom. But the whole time there is this space, and that's the center. And
Mm,
it's like coming back to that again and again and again, and then addressing the problems in the personality structure from that center. Sometimes you have to go the other way around. You have to go from bottom up, as Roger would call it, like, so meaning that you have to work out psychology, like I recommend that too. But also working out afterwards is great as well. Like really coming back to knowing who you are. The freedom isn't in you're working out the problems with your sister or working out these trigger points.
Yeah.
The freedom is always in that empty looking and the beingness of what you are right now. But it's also wise to look at those things. But it's noticing that different and noticing any seeking that arises around that.
Yeah. I feel, oh yeah.
Yeah, carry on.
I feel like, I'm not a non-duality expert, but I feel I feel like I don't want to. So I feel like the freedom is maybe not in that, but there are particular feelings that are not being completely felt. It feels like, and that's like creating a separate self. It feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I can imagine there are deeper feelings in your sister dynamic. And it's like we're not prepared to feel those feelings, so then we seek to be something else. And it's normally that they're shadow. It's normally like there might be deep down in there like jealousy of your sister getting all these things, or like dark things that we don't want to see, or anger or frustration or hate or rage towards her. And so often we don't want to see these shadow sides, but it's not like a conscious thing. It's like so unconscious because we want to be the shining light, good boy that shines light from every orifice. We can't acknowledge that. So then as soon as it begins to come up a little bit, it goes into seeking. So it comes up like this annoyance towards her, and then it goes into seeking to try to avoid that.
Yeah.
Or it feels jealousy, and then it goes into seeking to avoid that.
Yeah. I do want to say I feel like it's true. It's certainly true. I do feel like there are a lot of layers, a lot of layers to it. So I feel like the more layers I go to, the more stuff comes up. So first it may be like annoyance, and now it's more like a hatred thing, and like something I can't feel, and I can't feel it, but it's not completely. It feels like it's too much. Like
yeah, totally. That's exactly why seeking begins, because we, at a young age, we begin to be told what we have to be, and then there's the reality of what we are. Obviously, as children, we are trying to fit in, and we have to learn how to control our emotions.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, we're taught. Maybe there's a different approach now with new generations having kids, but like my generation were taught that you've just not got to be a bad girl, you've got to be a good girl, and this is what a good girl looks like. Like in my generation, I was taught that I had to be a girly girl, and I had to be very feminine, I had to be submissive, like I had to be all these ideas of what a woman is. And so this is where the personality is constructed, because I wasn't that. I wasn't this typical, stereotypical girly girl. I don't know if many women are. There's some that fit into that naturally, but a lot of women aren't like that. And so then you have to deny parts of yourself and suppress parts of yourself, and then you lose sense of what it is you need and you want. And then there's like lots of seeking because there's discomfort, and lots of tuning out. And seeking can look like, binging on food, watching lots of TV, exhaustion, not wanting to do things like that is seeking. It's like trying to numb yourself out from the current experience you're having. So then as you get into this subject, there has to be like a re-embodying the shadow.
Yeah.
Like the shadow, like that which was told it wasn't good. So me being more like, it's not that I'm a tomboy, it's not boyish behaviors that I'm displaying, I'm just not displaying like these girly girl sides. So it's like that part has to come up, but also the anger and the annoyance has to come up about having that suppressed, like the energy has to come up that's been suppressed in it. And it's just like you see it happening to children all the time, like all the things they've got to be and like put on them. And really what's most important in raising a child is help them understand their emotions and help them reflect back their needs and wants, and understand limits and empathy and compassion and fitting in with the society, rather than this like imposing what it is to be a human. It's more like letting the human unfold as itself as you teach it
Yeah.
how to unfold, which is wants and needs and like understanding. Yes,
I feel, yeah,
it's just
I.
coming back to that.
It's funny because so what happened on my journey, like before I got really sick mentally, and at first I was really into psychology and things like that, and then over the years I started to get into spirituality, non-duality, and meditation, and at first it was like almost like zooming out, a lot of zooming out, and now since a few months it feels like I'm coming back. I'm kind of like zooming in again, and like going into back into my body. But now all those and it's like the more like an expressive side. It's also like coming forth. It generates also a lot of energy and having to express myself. For me, that's really scary because I've been really being an internalizer, and
Yeah, that completely changes the personality and the dynamics. If you become an expresser, like it changes things.
yeah, it's funny. One thing when you said this also happened during the meditation, like you just said something about, oh yeah, but consciousness is in the computer screen and in it and in that, and normally I'm like, yeah, I already know that, and now there was something, wait, that try to listen even better, and like I almost heard you like better, and that happened during the meditation as well, and suddenly I could feel it, but I could, but at the same, I also could feel like a wall of sadness coming up, and because I don't know, it almost felt like it was hurt, and then I wanted to merge with that, but like a wall of sadness, like blocked the emotion, kept me back. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, you can imagine how that happens.
yeah. Okay, well, thanks. It was nice speaking to you.
Yeah, thanks, Hans. Yeah, I really appreciate speaking with you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Enjoy the stream, and yeah, have a nice day.
Thank you, and you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, no more questions. Everybody's out at the beach enjoying themselves in the sunny weather. If you're in the northern hemisphere. Sometimes when we come into this subject, we're doing it from a perspective of wanting to be a perfect human being. And I think this was so true of myself when I got into this subject, because we hear enlightenment and it sounds like the answer to everything. And I have the possibility of being a perfect human. I have the possibility of not reacting to any of my mother's criticism or my father's frustration or my siblings this or my siblings that. Getting on with all my co-workers and And the reason that we want to be a perfect person is for different psychological reasons, but fundamentally it is to have power and to be loved. And the power equals safety, and the love equals safety, but it's also love as well. Like, we desire love. And it's not true, you don't need to be a perfect person. That's an illusion that will keep you running, but it's very subtle. Like, for me, it was like, if I could become enlightened, then this is very deeply unconscious. Like, people could behave like assholes and I would be okay. I know that sounds crazy, but because I had a lot of difficult dynamics with my family in childhood, I thought, if I can be awake, this was unconscious, then I can handle everybody's difficult dynamics and I don't have to try and change them, and I don't have to vocalize anything or try and change myself. You know, I can just be totally passive. I thought, wonderful, great. But it's not true. That's not true. Because if you don't deal with dynamics, then those difficult dynamics are going to control your life. If you don't have very strong mechanisms to push and to respond and to put boundaries up to these dynamics, then these dynamics will come in and control your life. So in a way, your life will look like those difficult dynamics of the others. Isn't that crazy? But of course that will happen. If you can't tell people when they're being inappropriate, then they'll come in and control you, and the people that are controlling will be attracted to you. So that's one thing. Then the other reason for doing it is like a form of narcissism. All of us have narcissism in it. I'm not saying it's narcissistic personality disorder, which the internet hates at the moment. Narcissist. But the other form is this narcissism. Like, if everybody loves me and believes I'm perfect, I will be loved. And I also had that dynamic too. That people will like me, I will be safe and secure, which is not true, because people don't like a perfect person because it makes them feel insecure about themselves. They'll throw tomatoes at you. Yeah. It's not real, it's fake. There isn't this perfect person. And this is something that, you know, in non-duality is this process that's going through it, because, you know, there are these teachers coming forward, like saying this and exclaiming this. And then there's still the old school that's like talking about, you know, becoming at peace with everything and sort of totally zoning out in that love and that beingness of what you are, which you can do while having this personality structure in a healthy form appearing. And it's like through that combination, like blissing out, like being in contact with that, but then also having this personality that's a healthy or more healthy personality. Not perfect. Healthy isn't perfect. Perfect is fake because it's not true. Look at life. In a way, you could say everything is perfect, but then if you look in at the mechanics of life, like, things aren't perfect. They're growing and changing and imperfect. Otherwise, why do we need to cut hedges or flower beds or put down fertilizer? Like, I know that sounds fickle, but nature needs everything else. Like, there isn't like one perfect solid form that is above everything else. It's like a movement of things, and in a way, overall, it's perfection. But in its individuality, it's always evolving and improving and changing and transforming and being affected by everything else around it. It's fluid. Perfect is stuck. Yeah. Not sure why I went off on that rant, but there it is. Oh, I think my camera is out of focus. Let me get it back in focus. Oh, that went worse. Hello. Stay in focus. There we go. Naughty camera. Naughty. Lisa, do you know anything about enlightened student of Ramesh Balsakar, author of the book Consciousness Strikes? Rather than consciousness speaks, it's consciousness strikes. No, I don't know. Where is living? Do you have contact or his images? Images? Do I have secret photos of him hidden in my computer? No, I don't even know who he is. But thank you for your question. Yeah, it's a very quiet stream tonight. Oh yeah. There's still the time change issue for Americans. I forgot to send out an announcement to the Americans. This is from Hoshank. Hi, Hoshank. Hi, Lisa. Can we have a call? Hoshank has a question about the how to prevent spiritual practice from becoming just another concept. Yes. Concept that we carry out, how to connect the practice to that higher concentration force. Okay. Oops. Hey.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey.
Hello.
So yeah. Hey. So you just you can turn off the volume on YouTube, otherwise you get double audio.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, good. And if you know how to turn off your video, that would be helpful too. It just gives me more bandwidth for my stream. But don't worry if you don't know how to, that's okay too.
I just installed the Skype just
Yeah.
to have help
Yeah,
with you.
that's okay. Just leave the video on then. Okay. So do you want to just repeat your question, because I've forgotten it already.
Yes. Just a second. So sometimes when you practice like a daily practice, after a while it becomes like a routine thing that just like slips in. And it's not that much like sometimes I lose that feeling that I have in the beginning, like a very connected feeling to the practice behind, whether it's meditation or a morning routine. After a while, it's difficult to still keep it connected to the, well, I call it higher concentration force, like as said in Patanjali Yoga Sutras. If you understand my question.
Yeah, totally. I think this is the problem, not just in spiritual practice, but it's the problem in life as well. It's like how to not, I would say it the opposite way, so how to not go into those seeking patterns, which is like a removal. It's like not really being in what you're doing. It's like a removal, being in this seeking. It's like you've got a defense barrier up. Like in a way, that's what seeking is. And the seeking is like an energy that's never really contented being here. But it's not a conscious thing. It's like an energy of always trying to zone out and escape what's actually happening. And so that it's not just in spiritual practice that's happening. That's what happens in life. So it's actually a fascinating process if you can stay conscious of it. So you start this practice, and this practice has lots of hope in it and has lots of excitement into it. It gives you new feelings. So say if you're doing yoga and you have all this excitement and hope in it, and then as it becomes regular day in, day out activity, then that begins to fade. It's no longer new anymore. I mean, this is often why people jump around lovers. Like they have many different lovers, because in falling in love, the seeking stops, and then there is a reduced amount of seeking because you're in love and you're like, oh wow, this is everything I ever wanted. And then you're not looking for something else. You're feeling very alive in that moment and very fresh. And then as you become used to that person, then you begin to get into the daily activity. You get annoyances, you get issues, your patterns come up, things you don't like about yourself, things you don't like about them. And it's exactly the same with your practice. So it's really fascinating to see the steps in that, like what comes up in the mind. Like what might be happening, just for an example, is that an unconscious story might be arising, like this is hopeless, or this is pointless, or this isn't doing anything for me. And then that creates seeking. So then you're not conscious of it, but it creates avoidance of what's happening, because there is an emotional hurt in that. Like it's taking away love from you. Again, that's not conscious, but that's the unconscious thought processes. Like this is taking love from me, and it's not true. So this is the age-old question. It's like how to see God in everything, in the difficulties, in the boring, in the cleaning out the toilet. Like I don't use I think there's a lot of people don't use chemicals now in cleaning, and it means I have to just clean my toilet in a really disgusting way. Really don't like doing it. But it's like seeing God in that, because God is in that. As I stick my hand down the loo and have to like scrape off the pee particles that are stuck to the chalk, it's like that is God too, as much as being at the shrine or being in front of a divine teacher. That is God. Picking up the dog poo. I have a dog and we have to pick up dog poo. I'm not sure where you are, but in mainland Europe, a lot of places you have to pick up dog poo in public places. It's in answering the emails every day and doing the paperwork. in being in relation with people that have very closed minds, in all the things that are difficult. And so what I'm suggesting to you is not that you should be different in any way or that you need to change anything. It's just observation, like, this is interesting. So I'm beginning to zone out here. And what is the process in this? You know, what am I feeling? What am I avoiding here? That's where the juice is at. The juice isn't is in like having a blissful experience. The juice is in like, this is interesting.
And I guess that's where it gets very subtle.
Yeah, it's super subtle, yeah. Like, what am I feeling in my body now? Like, what is my body subconsciously or unconsciously saying to me?
Well, thank you, Lisa.
A pleasure. Really lovely speaking with you. Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for your silence.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks. Bye.
Have a good day.
Yeah. And you. Bye.
Bye.
Yes, Michael Wilinski. Yes, you can ask a question through here because people aren't really asking through Skype today. So yes, go ahead. Love from Gothenburg, Sweden. Peace to all. Yeah, hey, AIJ. I think the recognition of this non-duality, this is from Karen, is very helpful in order to look at what appears through my body-mind mechanism. Totally. Like, part of really being able to integrate the shadow is seeing that it's not you. Otherwise you can't fully integrate it. Like, really seeing that this is happening. Like, this movement, these words, where do they come from now? Who is speaking? Who is moving the hand? It's you, but not you as a separate entity, not you as a personality structure that has guilt and pride and shame and joy and good and bad. That is a movement out of who you are as this beingness. So yeah, non-doership is so important, Karen. Thanks for that. Love from a Dutch woman living in Copenhagen. Ah, nice. I just love Europe for that, like how mixed up we all are. Like Skittles. Except don't eat Skittles, but mixed up like Skittles. Greetings from Netherlands, Norway. That talk on perfection felt like it was mine to hear. I had similar life circumstances. Hey, Helen. Yeah. Yeah. Being perfect. And the draw to non-duality, it's really not talking about being perfect. It's like really accepting this body-mind mechanism as it is. And as that acceptance happens, the seeking dissipates, and that's what zooms in on the person and makes the person feel like you. That's like the stickiness, that's like the seeking, like the bridge that makes beingness feel like it's stuck to that person. So it's like as that begins to relax, like more and more acceptance, but it's not like an activity, it's like a letting go that's happening organically. Something else begins to be seen, something else begins to shine through. That you are non-duality. Yes, you are. Hi, Ida. Yeah, that's from Osborne. Yeah. Hi, Lisa. Yes. I'll just take this as the last question. But is it Mother's Day today? I know it's not Mother's Day in the UK, but maybe it is in mainland Europe or America. I hope my partner hasn't missed Mother's Day for his mother. If anyone could let me know if it's Mother's Day in mainland Europe. In UK, I think it's next weekend. Lisa, could you please talk about the Song of Amanta, about which many of the sages like Sant Kabi Das Guru Nanka have spoken about in the past, as that is which we all are in our real nature? And since I've have entered this subject for about 1.5 years, I have tried with all my energy and intellect to get to understand who I am, and your videos have really been a lot of help to me. So could you please guide me through by talking about this situation when this is the only thing that bothers you in each and every second of your life, as this is the current situation in which I find myself to be? I'm sorry, Sarav. I'm sorry, Sarav. I don't know the Song of Anahanta. I'm presuming what they're speaking about. God, the absolute. Oh, I can take these out now. Yeah. The absolute. Yes. So, the absolute is what you are. It is this moment. The absolute is this empty looking, which is all things, and this sense of being. It is what you are. It is what you are. What is it that's looking out now? It's not a name, it's not history, it's not your past images. It is what you are now. It's this moment. It's so still and free and beyond. It's not about getting or non-getting. It just is. That is who you are. Yeah. Okay. It's related to Ananta or the heart chakra. Yeah, it's love, it's the I am, it's beingness. Not this, not that. Sunday, May 8th, Mother's Day in mainland Europe. Danke. Carola. Here it's the 29th of May, but I don't know about where you are. Oh, danke, Carol. Oh, good. It's only the English that decided to do it in March. Yeah. Okay, well that is enough for tonight. So if you remember my advertisement from the beginning of the stream about the retreat in the south of France, there is a house which you can share. There's 3 bedrooms and the whole house is €60 a night. So if there's 3 of you, it ends up being super cheap. You can find out more information on my website under in-person events, and you click on the event and then you'll find my organizer Amelia's email, and you can write to her and sort it out with her. We already have 1 person that wants to share it, but now we need another 2. Yeah. So that is me slipping in the advertisement. Yeah. And I wish you everything. Yeah. So I really, really wish you everything. Not just 1 thing or 2 things or 3 things, but all things. Yeah. Thank you. It's beautiful sharing with you.